What's going on YouTube? This is IPSec. I'm doing Unbalanced from HackTheBox, and I really like this box just because it starts off with a lot of enumeration, moves into some custom exploitation, and then you get root by using a CVE, so it really covers the entire spectrum. The enumeration you do is all straightforward. You don't really have to jump through any big leaps, so that's cool. And then the middle of the box, the custom exploitation, was my favorite part because it involves XPATH injection, and you just get a login form, and it looks like it's SQL injectable. You do some SQL injection payloads, and it all works up until you actually try to weaponize the payload and like identify the database, because XPATH doesn't really have comments like SQL does. And once you find out it's XPATH injection, you can build a script to extract passwords one character at a time and just get a username and password that you can SSH into the box. Once you're in the box, you do some examination of ERP tables and find out there is a Pi-hole instance that you can do a port forward to, and that is vulnerable to a CVE. So with all that being said, let's just jump in. As always, I'm going to start off with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, SV enumerate versions, OA output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it unbalanced, and then the IP address, which is 10.10.10.200. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just 3 ports open, and glancing, we don't have any web servers, but we do have a Squid HTTP proxy to be fair. However, the very first port is just SSH on port 22, and is running Debian. It looks like it's version 10 update 2, which is pretty up to date, so I'm kind of just going to ignore SSH for now. Then we have RSYNC on port 873, and it should be important to note that RSYNC generally piggybacks off a secure protocol, because if you just see this, it's over plain text. So generally you won't even see RSYNC listening. It just supports working over like SSH that goes over 22. So seeing this means RSYNC specifically called out, which means we should take a look at it. And then the final port is just Squid running on port 3128, which is a HTTP proxy. So I'm going to take a look at Squid first, because this is something I can script to look at in the background while I manually poke at RSYNC. So Squid itself is just a HTTP proxy, and the main way we look at this is just seeing what it can access. We scanned the ports of this box and we didn't get much in return. However, we scanned from our IP address, which is 10.10.14.2, and we went directly to the server, which is 10.10.10.200. With Squid, we actually go to 10.10.14.2 to 10.10.10.200, port 3128, and then this can actually bring us to a different port. So we can use this to access port like 127.0.0.1 and then anything. So we can see if that port is listening through Squid. And if you want to see more on that, we have done it before. So if you just go to like ipsec.rocks and then type in Squid, you can see we did it on Joker and probably Inception, as we're using it to pivot ports. So we're just going to set this up to go in the background. So to do that, we're going to use FFUF. And I don't think FFUF has a way to just do a range of numbers. So I'm going to do a word list that's just a number 1 through 65,535, which I think is all the ports. I'm just going to Google 65535 ports. Did I remember that correctly? Yes. So that's a max port. So I'm just going to do a quick word list. So for I in sec 1 through 65,535, do echo I done and pipe it to ports. So now we just have a text file with everything in it. There's a bunch of other ways you do it. I'm sure TR has a way. There's 101 ways to create that file. I just like using for loops. So now I can do FFUF-H again. And the first thing we want to specify is the proxy URL. So I'm just going to go like this. So we have both the help and this at the same pane. So HTTP 10.10.10.200 3128. And we can also make sure this actually works. So I can go to my Foxy proxy and let's add a new proxy. So HTTP 10.10.10.200, and the default port, it shows 3128. So this is the most common port for Squid, and most people use Squid. Burp goes under an uncommon port of 8080. But besides the point, I'm just going to call this one Unbalanced, because that's the host name of the box. And now when I go and look at it, so if I just go to 127.0.0.1, we'll now get a Squid error message, which is awesome. So I was just making sure it didn't prompt for like some type of authentication, because Squid can be configured to have user authentication, which when we did that, it would pop up a box saying we need to authenticate. This shows there's no authentication there. So we have the -x. The next thing we want is the URL. So 127.0.0.1 port, we don't know. That's going to be fuzz. And that's just going to take everything from our text file, which is ports. So if I run this, at the start, I did notice something weird. So at 3,500 here, but we do have some that are different. So 57 is 329, or 397. And then like port 80 is, I don't know where that went. There it is, 3486. So we have a lot of different sizes. So I want to check this out real quick. So 80 is 3486 in size, and 66 is 3497. So just looking at this request, we can make it bigger. And then let's go to a second request. Let's just go to port. We'll do 9001. And the main thing that's different is I can see it's appending 9001 here, but here it's not, because it's a well-known port. So it's just saying HTTP. I'm kind of curious what happens if I do FTP. Address is restricted. So we can't even go to that over Firefox, but yeah. So that's it. I'm going to just filter on the status code of 403. So -FC for filter code, 403. And now we're doing a brute force to check all the ports. So we can go back to our nmap, and we want to do RSYNC. So I'm going to do RSYNC 10.10.10.200, and we hit specify the RSYNC protocol. And when I hit enter, it's not returning right away. So this tells me that there's probably some type of reverse DNS request going out to validate a host. So I want to make sure if that is me, and we have it come back with the name, and then description, so conf backups, encrypted FS backup configuration. But the main thing I want to do is check if we're doing a DNS lookup. So I'm going to run Wireshark, and we're just going to look at this RSync protocol to see if it's giving a host name. So I'm going to go to ton 0, and we're going to run it. And there's, oh shoot. Because FFUF is running, we have like a bunch of noise. So this is the downside when you want to do recon in the background, is your interface is just so noisy. We can just search for rsync, and it will probably pull out the packets. And we can just see if a host name is being disclosed on the wire. And it doesn't look like there is. We got the version, and then just saying that. The other thing we could do is change our interface to be our external interface, so well, I just seg-faulted, but we can listen on ETH0 and then just search for DNS. And when we run this request again, we can see if our box is making any DNS queries. Doesn't look like it is, so we're not the one doing the DNS lookup. Chances are this server is doing a DNS lookup on us. And that's just good to know as an attacker, because just connecting to this port can mean that there's a DNS request that goes out, and DNS is generally more monitored than ports, so you may show up on some type of dashboard. And if you're a sysadmin trying to figure out how to identify someone connected to your rsync port, maybe you have the logs in DNS, because chances are you're not like logging network connections, but you are logging DNS for queries, hopefully, so you'd be able to see it in that type of log. We want to download the conf backups. So I'm going to do /conf backups, and I'll just say the directory is going to be conf backups where you write them to. I'm going to add the -A for archive. That means it's going to archive it off the server back to us, and the V for verbose, so we see the files as they get copied. We can kill Wireshark, and we should, soon as this DNS request fails on the server, we should see a directory get created on us called conf backups, and we have a bunch of files that were created. So let's see, we can just take a look at this. So XXD on this file. I generally open files up in XXD before catting because if they can have like bad ASCII characters, it can screw up my terminal. So this is more of just a safe way to display it. And I just see a bunch of gibberish. So nothing interesting there. I think binwalk may do entropy. Entropy. Let's see. Binwalk-E maybe? Going off the reservation. I haven't done this in a while. But this is a good way to identify if something's encrypted or just obfuscated. I don't see what this is telling me. Not sure how to interpret that. I was hoping it would have like a line that tells me what the entropy of that was. Let's see, is there a different way to do this? I want to say there's a tool called Ent. Yep, I've used Ent before. So this is just going to be an entropy testing tool. So let's do Ent STL. And we see the entropy is around 7.5 bits per byte. And the closer to 8 you get, the more random it is. So I'm sure if we do look at all these files, let's see, for I in, let's just do find dot or find dot dash exec ent, like that. Grep entropy, and we can see all of the randomness. Things generally in like the 4 to 5 range are going to be ASCII. Let's see, awk print 3, and now we can sort by number, and what's less? So we got one file that's 0. We got 3.9, 4.7, 4.9. So we probably want to look at this 0.0. I'm guessing that file is empty, and 3.9. So let's go back real quick, get rid of that grep, pipe it to less. I'm just going to search for 0.00, and we get nothing, and it doesn't have the file name in it. That is annoying. 3.9, let's see, space 3.9. Yeah, it's not showing the file name. That's annoying. But we want to find out exactly what file that is. So let's see. LSLA, xargs, or let's see, 4in ls dash LA, like that. Do ent I, done. And we can echo I as well. So less, ooh, invalid option dash R. Oh, ls-l, ls-a, we want A. So what the find command was doing was looping on too much. There we go. So let's do 3.9, space 3.9, and we can see that file is this, which looks like it's just a rabbit hole. There's nothing interesting in that file. We can look at all the files in this directory, and we do see there is this encrypted fs6.xml. I'm kind of curious what this entropy was. 4.9. So like I said, it was in the 4 to 5 range. That's going to be ASCII text. We could run ent against like SSH, these configuration files like sshd.config. And we see that's 4.9. So let's take a look at what this one is. And this is just a XML config file. And with this, we can probably try to crack it. So we can do a encrypted FS to John. I think this actually confirms it is encrypted FS 1.9.5. So based upon the entropy of a lot of files, like if we do ZX, this is near 8 bits. So we know this is encrypted well. We have the XML file that pieces all these files together. So if we knew the password, we can decrypt it. So I'm just going to Google EncFS to John. And let's take a proxy off. And there should be a script. So we have this Python script, EncFS to John. Where do we download this? Source code. Let's see. I'm going to do EncFS to John.py. Let's see. GitHub. Let's see. EncFS to John Python. Here we go. This is running a diff. Is there a way to just download this? Come on. What if it's on my box? Update DB sudo, and then we're going to locate it. Maybe it's just somewhere on the box. Locate EncFS to John. Yeah, we have it. So it's already on the box and user share John. So we can just run EncFS to John on conf backups, and we get this hash. So we can send this over to John the Ripper to try to crack it. I'm just going to SSH Kraken, and this goes to a box that I just have in my house because cracking is a very CPU intensive thing, and I always hate doing it on the computer I'm working on, especially in a VM because VMs just crack so slow. So I'm going to create a file called Unbalanced. We'll just do root unbalanced, paste this, and then I can do /John root unbalanced -- word list is equal to opt rocku.txt. I think that's it. ls, oh, there we go. Did it crack? Not found. Probably opt word list. I'm guessing that's what it is. So opt word list rocku.txt. Do I have it? SSH Kraken ls opt word list. Yep, that was the file. And it says it has finished. So use --show. So I can do --show. And we see conf backup's password is bubblegum. So let's go back to our box. And I'm going to create a file called pw. I'm just going to put bubblegum. So we'll just have a list of all the passwords of this box. If I go here, that's the encrypted text. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move conf backups to encrypted backups. I'm going to make a directory called decrypted backups. And I'm going to run EncFS encrypted to decrypted. Let's see, router, mount point. Let's see. Maybe it wants full paths. HTTP like that. There we go. Home IPsec HTTP. This is going to be unbalanced. Unbalanced. Password bubblegum. And it's mounted. So we can go into decrypted backups and we have a bunch of files. So looking at these, there's going to be a few files that stick out. I want to look at the RSYNC first because that's the protocol we're using to see if there's any like hidden directories. And it doesn't look like there is. It's read only, so we can't upload files to it. And we have the path, UID and GID. So there's nothing too interesting about this. The next thing we probably wanted to look at was, let's see. There is a squid.conf. And I'm looking at Squid because this was the port that's listening. There's a lot of comments in this. So what I'm going to do is grep-v begins with a comment, and we're going to hide all those. Squid, and then I'm going to do grep period, and this is just going to show me all the non-commented lines. So let's see, we have some ACLs of just specifying local subnets. So let's see, this is everything. That's a general RFC 1918. So these look to be the standard local host address. So nothing unique there. These are ports we're probably allowed to access, like 80, 21, 443, these unregistered ports. So nothing too interesting there. We have squid conf d, local host. We do have a host name disclosure. So we have intranet.unbalanced.htb. So I'm going to go sudo vi etc hosts, and we're going to add an entry for 10.10.10.200, and I'm going to put that there. I'm thinking I may want to put that as localhost. Yeah, I'm going to try localhost with that. And the reason why is we're going through Squid, so this should be fine. If I wasn't going through Squid, I'd do that 200 address. But because we're going through Squid, I want to tell Squid 127, because hitting 127 is almost always going to work. Hitting the routable interface may not. We have the intranet being on the 172.16 range. So if we wanted to create like a port scanner or an IP scanner, we'd limit it to this range. However, this is a lot of host. So I'm not going to try scanning it because, again, that's a lot of host in that /12. We may be able to get it other ways. We got a cache manager password. So I'm going to add this to a PW file. So vpw, I'm just going to paste that there. And that's about it for the config. So I'm going to curl intranet.unbalanced.htb. And we have to specify the proxy. I think it's just -p. 10.10.10.200 3128. And I think we got something. Let's see if that's any different than what we have been hitting. So I'm going to change my BurpSuite back to unbalanced. And we'll go to this URL. And we have a /intranet page. So I want to play with this login form, but I bet if I just try like admin, yeah, this is annoying to do. I want to send this to BurpSuite. So I'm going to go over to BurpSuite, go in the options, maybe user options. Yep, upstream proxy. So user options, upstream proxy. And I'm just going to put HTTP 10.10.10.200 3128. So now our BurpSuite, we don't put HTTP, but now our BurpSuite will send to this host. So if we go back to our proxy tab, intercept, and I'm going to change to go through BurpSuite, refresh the page, send this to repeater, and we're good. So we got enter username, password, and it's not saying anything. So I'm going to try to do a few things. So I'm looking at the size, 7059 bytes in that bottom left or bottom right. And I'm just sending things that could cause error messages. So I put a single quote, double quote, just random symbols. Try it in this username field. And I'm not changing the size, but I am noticing something. This Intranet-Host header is changing. I've seen Intranet-Host 2 and Intranet-Host-3. If I refresh this page, we're getting multiple. So it kind of goes every other request. We can go back to what we did, and there was a Squid Cache Manager password we got. So that's going to be the password to manage Squid. There's a Squid internal thing. So if we went to turn this off, we access 10.10.10.200 3128. /squid-internal. Let's see. I don't think you can access this through a browser. You'd want to do through command line. So there's this way to manage Squid remotely. And you wouldn't know this unless you configure Squid. So this is where like being a sysadmin also helps because you manage these things. So you know what the passwords go to. The cache manager password goes to that Squid internal, is it -mgr maybe? Yeah, Squid internal. Where is it? Come on. Nope. 10, 10, 10, 200 / Squid internal mgr. Not HTTPS. Come on. 3128. Pretty sure that's it. We probably just specify the user. It's giving up the host name though. When we hit this, it's saying unbalanced 3128. So we definitely know the host name of this box through this. But as I was saying, there is a Squid client tool that you could use to do this. But all Squid is HTTP. So you can do this through curl request as well. So I normally manage it through curl. So we do --user for user authentication. And I'm going to do THA, what was the password? Cat PW. Let's cat PW here. It was curl --user, then THAH $SH1, and then HTTP. I'm just going to copy it from my browser. Let's see. If we grab this, paste. See, we get something different. Your cache administrator is something, invalid URL. I think it's /menu. Let's see. Unbalanced 3128, cache manager access denied. You are not allowed to access until you have authenticated yourself. Thought I did just authenticate myself. I'm just going to copy and paste this. So copy. Paste. Invalid URL. Okay. I think I had SHA. Or lowercase s and need be capital. But if we just hit menu, we get like an invalid URL. But if we hit menu, we get a menu of everything we can do. I'm going to grep-v disabled because I don't care about disabled functions. And we can see the things we have access to. I think we could do like -s for silent on curl to hide this download thing. There we go. So we have access to menu, mem, disk, fully qualified domain name cache. That sounds interesting. Histograms, SBUF, events. But I'm going to try to look at this fully qualified domain name cache. And we get a list of all the IP addresses. So this is falling into probably that /12 that we saw before. We also have intranet.unbalanced.htb. And I think that's what we've been hitting. But we got Intranet-Host 2 and 3. And that is these. But there is a Intranet-Host 1.unbalanced.htb that we're not seeing. There's 3, 2. I'm going to take a wild guess and say .1 is Intranet-Host 1.unbalanced.htb. So let's go and try that. So sudo vi etc host, and it's going to be 172.32. What was it? 31.179. 31.179.1. And I think I copied. I did not. Intranet-host 1.unbalanced.htb. I'm making a big mistake here, probably just typing it out and not copying and pasting, but we'll see if it works. So I go to intranet-host 1.unbalanced.htb, and nothing comes up. We have to go through our proxy. So intranet-host1.unbalanced.htb. Refusing connections. HTTP. See, access denied. Maybe it doesn't know that host name. So 172, I have this in my clipboard. So let's try accessing the port 172.31.179.1. And we have a host temporarily taken out of load balancing for security maintenance. So there's something wrong with this host. And the previous box we were talking to, we just go to like intranet unbalanced HTTP. It takes us to intranet.php. So let's just go to this page because maybe they just removed index. And we get to the what looks like to be the same exact page. So let's run a GoBuster on this so we always have something running in the background as we work. So I'm going to do GoBuster-H so we can see how to do a proxy. Let's see, GoBuster dir-h. And let's see, is there a proxy option? -p. So let's do dir-p http 10.10.10.200.3128. -u for URL, HTTP. Do I have this on my clipboard? I do. So I can paste that. -w for word list. We'll do opt, sec list. And then let's see, discovery, web content. And it's always raft small words, raft-small-words that I've been liking to use. So we got that. I'm going to add -x.php because we know PHP is running on the server, and -o for out file. This is going to be intranet-host1.gobuster. So we have that running in the background as we take a look at this. So I'm going to change this to go through BurpSuite, and let's just try what we did before on this. So clear a cache, submit. We go here, go to repeater tab. This is going to be load balancer. This is intranet host 1. Send the request 7079, 7059. So there's something slightly different between these two. I'm going to guess maybe this just has like -1 in it somewhere. Or intranet -host 1 or something. Not sure exactly what the difference between these two outputs is yet. Oh, it says invalid credentials. I don't think I saw that on the other one. So if we go here, we don't see that. So let's make sure these requests are the same. We just did admin admin. Send. Don't have invalid credentials. We do have invalid credentials. So this is giving an error message. The previous one did not. So we have a difference there. So always remember 7079. And we're going to put like a single quote. And we get 7185. So something on this page changed. And it's hard to tell right off the bat. So I'm going to turn that off. And I just made this super small so I can look at the page. So we have invalid credentials. I'm going to do admin single quote and see what changes when I hit enter, because more content got displayed to the page. But it looks like things just got removed. So let's go admin admin again. I noticed this got something added to it. I'm doing a single quote, and that line gets removed. So nothing too special there, but we did cause something to error out because we got a different thing by putting a single quote. I'm going to try a double quote, and it goes back to 7079, and we have invalid credentials. So I'm going to try enumerating the database or identifying what database it is. So let's do single quote and then a comment, 7185. And let's see. So it looks like that may be MySQL. So if we take that off, 7079. So maybe I'm going to try or 1 equals 1, and we'll put a comment at the end and see what happens. 7185. So we're not getting like an additional proxy header, cookies header to set a new cookie. And it's the same as just erroring out. It's not saying invalid credentials or anything. So I'm a bit confused by what just happened there. I'm going to try to just put one quote, and we get invalid credentials. So that's weird. If this was MySQL, we have now kind of just ruled it out, because what we did was whenever we see invalid credentials, we have a valid query. When there's no invalid credentials, something crashed. So doing this, we get invalid credentials because we assume it's adding a single quote. Because if we make a balanced number, a balanced number of single quotes, we don't get this invalid credential thing. But if there's an unbalanced one, we get one match. So maybe that's why the name of the box is called Unbalanced. I'm not sure, but we should have a valid SQL query by doing this, because we put the single quote here. So this is a valid SQL query, and we put a comment, which if they have a SQL thing here to close it off, it doesn't matter because that's a comment. So chances are this is not a MySQL database because that didn't work. We can try other things like a hashtag, and again, doesn't go. So right now we're trying to figure out exactly what type of database this is, and having trouble because no comment fields seem to be working. I'm going to test if the password field is vulnerable. So we can do username is equal to nothing, or password is equal to a single quote, and we get 7185. Invalid credentials is not on the page, so this is an invalid query. If we do username and password blank, invalid credentials pops up, so this is a valid query. I'm going to try or 1 equals 1 here, and we get 7,852 bytes, which is more than we're used to getting. And if we scroll, we have a list of emails. So we dumped something. We don't know exactly why this worked. We just know that we did something. And if we try to like put this comment again, we go back to it not working, or the query being invalid. So at this point, I'm trying like a bunch of random things to try to get this to work, and I couldn't. So then I'm thinking maybe it's not a database at all. Maybe this is going off like some weird XML thing, and I'm doing XPATH injection, but it just looks like SQL injection. So I'm going to turn my proxy off, and I'm going to Google like XPATH injection, and let's see if there's anything we want. So this page is going to explain XPATH injection, and I was looking for a PowerPoint. I'm going to click back and see if I can remember exactly what I searched. I want to say it was like XPATH injection comment, because that's how I enumerate what type of database is running, is I put a comment and truncate all the output the server's putting on. So let's see. This looks good. And this didn't have a way to do comments, but through this, it did have a payload I liked. So we can try, what is it? History. Where is the payload? Injection. So we can try this payload. And we're just going to change the double quotes for single quotes, because we know that's what's breaking the application. So I'm going to paste this, and we're going to put a single quote, and single quote, single quote, single quote. We hit go, and that did not work. Let's see. I'm just going to type it out in case there's some weird like encoding option. So let's see, password is equal to, and 1 equals 0. Single quote, 1 equals 1. Click go. And that did not work. I was really expecting something else. Let's see, I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I should URL encode this. That's probably it. Let's highlight everything, Control U. That was not it. Control Shift U to un-URL encode. I'm going to try just doing 1 equals 1. Nothing. Let's see. Get rid of this. There we go. I bet if we go down some, they have a payload that does not have that 1 equals 1. Or 1 equals 0. But now we have 10,000 bytes. This is the most we've ever got. And if we look at this, actually, let's just do this in the actual browser. So my proxy intercept is off. We can go back to Unbalanced, go through BurpSuite. I think we can just put anything for the username and then paste this. And it's dumping a list of emails, but this time we're getting role equals blank a few times. However, this does confirm it is XPATH injection because I can't imagine in what world this would be a valid SQL payload. So for reference, we could do dollar or 1 equals 1. And let's unmask this for you. Whoops. Go here, go to this field, type, get rid of type equals password. You can see the exact payload I'm sending. We send, and we just get a list of the users. We don't get everything else, so it dumped less, but we got everything that mattered. We do have a few usernames like Rita, Jim, Brian, and Sarah. So if I go back here, we can do VI users and put a few. Brian and Sarah. Is there any other? Nope, that's it. And at this point, my GoBuster is almost done. And we've only discovered what we knew. There's index.php, intranet.php, CSS. And as I say, you always should have recon going in the background. And if you followed this methodology, you'd probably try brute forcing with different, I probably just ruined that out file. But brute forcing with different extensions. So we did PHP. You could try like PHP or XML, TXT, CSV, a bunch of them. But if you ever tried XML, you would find a file called employees.xml, which is another hint at XPATH injection. So if we went 10.10.10.200/employees.xml, no, this is 172, my bad. 172.31 employees.xml. We just get 403 forbidden. So we know that XML file exists, and that would be another hint at it being XPATH injection, and this is just pulling data out of that XML file. But the thing I want to do now is enumerate the actual password, because we can do some type of Boolean logic to extract the password. And this is just because now we know it's XPATH injection, we can just do more. I probably could put the username here and then work here, but I always like just putting my entire payload in one parameter. So we're going to close that one off. And the first thing we want to do is find the password length. So I can test this out by doing or username is equal to, and let's go with the first user, which is Rita. And then the next thing we can do, and string-length password/text, and that's a function. And then we'll say equals 1. And remember the things always appending a single quote. So we have to end this on a single quote. So we'll do or 2 is equal to 1 like that. And we get invalid match, invalid credentials. So let's try 2, 3, and I'm just going to go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, 11's here. So we have now changed to 7,347. And we did because it extracted her information. So we now know that Rita's password is 11 characters. So I'm going to save that one, and this will be password length. And we're going to create a second query to try to enumerate what her password is. And I'm probably going to do this one just purely in Python because it's just a pain to enumerate. I guess we'll do burp intruder and then Python. So let's go over to 3. And we're going to name this pw brute and change our payload. So this one is going to be still username is equal to Rita, except now we're going to do and substring the field, which is password, the position of the password, which is going to be 1, the very first character. If you're doing these in different languages, it may be 0 starting off, or it may be 1. In XML XPATH Injection, it starts off at 1. So if you don't get hits on the very first one, always try the next one. And then the length. And the length is just 1. We just want to do 1 character at a time. So we do that, equals, and then the character we want. So we're going to try A, and we get 70, 79. So I'm going to send this into intruder and see if we can do this quickly. So I'm going to clear all these, and then this little thing says what it's going to brute force. So we just want to do that payload. And then the list we want to do is, let's see, A to Z. Sweet. Let's try this. We can also add capital A to Z, and that should be fine. Let's click Start Attack and see what we get. So everything's 200. We can go to the length, and we have one length at 7347 begins with P. So in our repeater tab, if we start with P, we can see it goes to 7347. So with this, we can change the number. So this is still going, wait, that's length. We can change this. So now we're going for the second character, and we're only doing 1 at a time. And I'm guessing if it begins with P, the next is A for password. And we could have done like start at 1 and do a length of 2, and then do PA and get password that way and go brute force as well. So that's all preference how you want to do it. I'd recommend just doing 1 character at a time so your payload length doesn't change, because every now and then if your payload length gets too long, it breaks and you just don't notice. So let's now move over to creating a Python script because we want to automate this. So I'm going to copy these 2 things, and we're going to go to a new pane. We'll call it brute.py. And I'm just going to put these at the top real quick so we don't have to keep going back and forth between Python and BurpSuite. So we got those 2 things. We want to do import request, because that's going to allow us to send HTTP. And I'm going to import string. And string is a really cool library. We can do Python 3 import string, and then string dot, and you can see all the things. So we could do string dot ASCII lowercase, and that builds that. So we could do ASCII lowercase, ASCII uppercase, and build a whole thing. Or what I do is I just use ASCII printable. String dot printable. And we have a list of everything, including symbols. I don't like these last few characters. These are just, it's ASCII printable, but they're not actually like printable, like return, new line, tab. Those aren't going to be in passwords. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I just want to get rid of the last 5. So I can do it like that. And now we got a good key space of all ASCII printable characters. So I'm going to do copy, and we can say key space is equal to that. And let's see, is there anything else we want to do? I'm just going to put hard-coded users. So user is equal to Rita. And if you're creating the script at home, you may want to make this like an argument. And I'm also going to do proxies is equal to HTTP 127.0.0.1 because we have to go through a proxy. We could have done 10.10.10.200.31.28 or BurpSuite. I'm just going to do BurpSuite so we can see the request as we send it, because chances are we're going to make some coding errors and we want to use BurpSuite to debug it anyways. Our BurpSuite is configured to use the proxy, so they're essentially the same thing. So the very first thing we want to do is probably brute force the length. So let's create the function getLength, and then the parameter we give this is going to be username. And we can say for I in range 0 to 32. So we're going to brute force up to 32 characters in length. And I'm going to take this line and put it down here because we're going to use this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Payload is equal to, and all of this uses single quotes. So I can just do a double quote here, double quote there. And we're going to do username and put the user here. So username there. And then this field, no, right here. This was the password length. So I'm going to do I. So all this is going to do is increment all the way up, and we can print payload. And I'm not sure where that get length came from. Delete that. And if we just do get length Rita, we can see what this does. So Python 3 brute. Again, same exact thing, just incrementing all the way up. So the one thing to notice is it's always going to be 1 off. So when we do this loop, the range, if we want to go up to 32, we should say 33. There we go. So the next thing is to actually do the request. So data is equal to, username is nothing, and password is going to be payload. And then R is equal to request.post HTTP 172.31.179.1. And it was the intranet file, so intranet.php. Data is equal to data, proxy is equal to proxies. And we have to see what's on this page. So let's go back here, go to our repeater tab, password length. Let's see. If we do 12, we have invalid credentials. If we do 11, we don't. So I don't even think we have credentials on it if we do 11. Okay, so I'm just going to say if credentials is not in this page, we're good. So we can say if credentials not in our .text, we have our first character, or our first password length. So let's try running this. Let's get rid of, oh, we don't have the print in there anymore. Run this, and what should come back, should have came back with 11. So we can go to proxy, the history tab. And let's see, 109. Doesn't look like it's going. Or maybe it was. Go, 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 and then stop. Oh, we don't have a print at all. Print that. There we go, 11. So we can say pwlen is equal to get length user. And we can print f user password length 4 is pwlen. There we go. So the next thing we have to do now is brute force the actual password. And it looks like I have deleted that comment somehow. So let's go back to BurpSuite and copy the payload. We can paste it. And let's do def brute care username position. We can say 4 character in key space, which is this variable. And I'm just going to yank this. And say payload is equal to. And again, our actual payload doesn't use double quotes, so we can easily just sub that out. This will be username. And then password 1. This is the position. So this will be POS. Let's see. And this is care. So all this is doing is going to the username. So this is going to be Rita. And substring password, the position, which is what we're calling, 1 len length, and then the character in key space. Okay. Now we can say, copy this. Actually, 4 lines we can copy. So data, request, credentials, there we go. And let's see, if credentials is not in our.text, return I. I think that's good. So let's do a loop here. So I'm going to do for I in range 1 to PW length. And then remember from this top one, we did 32 and it stopped at 31. So I'm going to do password length plus 1. So plus 1. And then after this, we can say password character is equal to brute character, the user, and then the position, which is I. And then if not PW character, print character not in key space. And let's just return a false here. So if we go through this entire key space, this brute character function is going to return false. And that's what's hitting this hit. Then print pw char. I'm going to do end is equal to nothing, flush is equal to true. So it prints the characters as it finds them, so we know the script is working. I'm going to get rid of these blank lines because we don't need them. I just did that to get my screen up. Let's see. We can say print password for user is, and I'm going to do end is equal to nothing, flush is equal to true. And we're going to see if this works. I don't have a lot of faith, but we'll see. So we can look at it's a lowercase f. Do I have uppercase here? Nope. So we can go to proxy and see it going. So we already got password length as 1. 1, 2. I don't think this is right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Was Rita's? We're using Rita, right? It was password. I don't know why it's going password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have something funny. So oh, shoot. Let's see. Wait. No? We're printing password character. I thought we were printing the range. So this is going to be that. Brute care. Let's see. Oh. There we go. We wanted to return character, not I. So we were returning this variable every time we successfully crack something. So now we're returning the actual character. So let's try this again. So password length is 11. And we can see GLKL. There we go. So now it's enumerating. So I'm going to speed up the video and we're going to get her password. So we have our password as password01. Let's go back to all the users we have. We have Jim, Brian, and Sarah. So let's go and create something for each of these. So I'm going to do users is equal to Jim. We'll go like that. Brian, if I can do this correctly, and Sarah. We're going to get rid of user. Let's see, where do we first use user down here? Get length user. Okay. For user and users, we'll say pwlen is equal to nothing, pwchar is equal to nothing. Just cleaning up the variables we have. And let's exit out of this. And we should be able to brute force multiple users now. So Jim's password is 16 characters, and let's see if it starts cracking. If it does, then we're just going to now let the video go and we'll speed it up. And I noticed one bug right now. Soon as it completes, we don't do a line break, which is not clean. So let's fix that up real quick. So every time this completes, let's print 2 lines. So it's going to recrack Jim's password, but you're not waiting, I'm waiting. So I'm just going to speed up the video, and now it's going to look much cleaner once the crack is done. So we have them all cracked. I'm going to VI my passwords file, and we're going to add some. We have Stairway to Heaven. I really love bubblegum with 3 exclamation points. Copy. Paste. And then Sarah Forever. Let's see, there was a password. I think it was password something. Let's see. Password 01 bang. Password 01 bang. That was Rita's password. So now we have a list of users and passwords. If we visited our nmap again, so less nmap, unbalanced nmap, we already looked at this RSYNC configuration file, so we know there's no like hidden directories because it only had the config for Squid, Etsy and stuff. So there's nothing really in here. Squid isn't really doing authentication, so the only other port we really have is SSH. So let's try running crackmap exec against this. So looking at users, I have everyone, so I can do CME, SSH, 10, 10, 10, 200, users, PW, and it should be going shortly. Let's see. Is it going to? It's taking its time. So it's been a while and this hasn't come back with anything. So let's SSH 10 200. I'm just making sure like the SSH login prompt wasn't there, but I'm not sure exactly what's going on with CrackMap exec. Probably have to update it or something, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to use a different tool. Let's just do Medusa crack SSH, or I should have said brute SSH. Off Medusa brute SSH. Do we have syntax here? Brute forcing. Come on. We can do Hydra. So Hydra -L. I'm going to do -L so we can specify a user's file. -P is a password file. So this is going to be PW. And then the IP address 10 So let's try this. I'm not sure if it's going to output unsuccessful cracks. Oh, 1 of 1 completed, 0 passwords found. I don't think that's correct. We could add that -T4 that it's recommending, but let's see, do we have the password still? I closed that pane. Let's see, I think this was, I really love bubblegum. Let's see, echo-n, wc-c, 22. Let's see, I think that was Brian's password. So we can go back to repeater. Let's see, username, Brian, and substring password 11. Let's see, it's saying R. Let's see if that was I. 7079 7361. So I screwed up copying and pasting. That's a big surprise. I always do that. We should be like doing better job logging and taking notes and screenshots so we could go back and see, because we'd have to run that script again, which would probably take a few minutes to see that. But if we were logging, this would be more evident that that happened. So let's try running that Hydra again. I'm not going to do the -T for what it recommends, even though probably should. Slow it down. Right now it's running 16 threads and it says 4. But there we go. We have a hit saying Brian really loves bubblegum. So we can go back and try that CrackMap exec while we work just to see if CrackMap exec shows this. So Brian at 10 200, and the password, I really love bubblegum triple bang. There we go. We get logged in, and if we do lsla, there is a to-do and a user.txt. So the flag is the user.txt, but we should take a look at to-do. So looks like install Intranet-Host 3 Docker done. Fixing XPATH vulnerability, testing, take down Intranet 1, Intranet 2, install Pi-hole Docker, only listing on 127.0.0.1 done, sent password done, create Pi-hole config script in process. So right now it looks like we have to figure out what Pi-hole's address is. We can run IP ADDR, and we see chances are we're on the host because we have this Docker O interface and all of these other interfaces. I'm going to run IP neighbor, which is going to be the new version of netstat. I don't think netstat's installed in this box, but IP neighbor will be like, IP neighbor is not like netstat. It's like erp-an, and erp is not found. This is going to tell us the IP addresses this machine has talked to lately. FE80, this is a local IPv6, so probably not too interesting. 1.3, 179, these are like Intranet 1, this is Intranet 3, Intranet 2. We also have 172.31.11.3. This is a new address. We could also like cat the etc host file, and we confirm that Intranet host 1 is here. But we don't have anything about this 30, yeah, this 11.3. So we can try curling it, and we get your black hole for the internet. So this is definitely Pi-hole. So what I'm going to do is I want to forward this back to my box. I'm going to exit SSH, because if I try to forward port 80 right now, it's going to fail because SSH doesn't have permission to do it. So we can show you. -L 80, paste where I want to go to 80, cannot listen. And I want to do 80 because I just want to mimic Pi-hole as much as I can. We can try 8,000 here. So now 8,000 is listening on my box. It's forwarding it through SSH and going here. So we can go localhost 8,000, and we get invalid domain. So let's try going to port 80. So I'm going to do sudo, and I'm just going to specify the L command here. It's 172.31.11.3. The password, crackmap exec did not work. I haven't had a lot of luck doing SSH with it. I'm sure if I update it will work. So now we have this SSH connection up. So 8,000 is not working, but localhost 80 is now forwarded to it. And it looks like it's good. We have a lot of things it can't resolve. So I'm going to press Control-U to go to source. And we see it's resolving to pi.hole. So we want to make our host file point there. So sudo vi etc host. And we want to say 127.0.0.1 is pi.hole. And now when we refresh this page, it works, but we've been denied because we're accessing it on localhost. If I try to change this to pi.hole, we probably have to do http pi.hole. It works. So it's just Pi-hole using the host header as a authentication mechanism, which is bad. We can show this more in depth by going to 127.0.0.1. We got to change BurpSuite to no longer go through the upstream proxy. So we can take that off. Intercept on. So if we forward this, let's try localhost. We get denied. So I'm going to edit localhost. I'm going to say something else. So it's looking at this header, this host header. So we can say, please subscribe, forward. And we can say, access the website has been denied because please subscribe is not allowed. So when we went to pi.hole and put that in the host header field, that is what allowed us to access. So host pi.hole forward, and we access. So let's put it here so it remembers it. And we have version 4.3.2. It says right at the bottom. So I'm going to go over to search exploit. I'm going to search for Pi-hole, maybe Pi space hole. And we can see 4.4, but authenticated remote execution. And if we looked at the to-do, we have Brian creating a temporary password. So what we probably want to do is find a way to brute force this password to log in. So we have password right here. We can try like password is equal to password, and nothing works, or it doesn't work. So let's intercept this and see if they have like cross-site request forgery or other things enabled. So looking at this request, there's no extra field. So if it was CSRF, we'd see like CSRF equals and then some string. Doesn't look like we have anything. So we can use FFUF right now to brute force this. So let's go to an empty pane. Oh, I just got rid of the employee.xml in that Go Buster. Oh well. So FFUF-H, let's see, we want to do -u URL, http pi.hole /admin index.php !login -d for data, because this is a post request, pw equals fuzz, and then -w for word list, user share word list. I'm going to go, well, let's do opt sec list, and then passwords. Then we got to pick a password we want to use. Cert default password sounds good. And let's hide the size, hide words 4311. So Control C -FW 4311. And we'll see if we get anything. Doesn't look like we are. And the one thing with FFUF that we generally should always do is add the content type, because this generally plays a big role in requests. And that's the one thing this tool doesn't do automatically, is add things in the host header like content type. We can add -H, paste, and see if we get anything. Oh, 4350 on everything. So we want to change the hide words to 4350, because that is the new thing for invalid password. And see if we get anything. It's going. And it looks like the password is potentially admin. When it got to admin, the size is 0, and it does a 302, which is a redirect. So if we go here, let's send this to repeater. We can click send. We get 1500 bytes as password. We change it to admin, and we get 366. I'm going to change this content type off. If we took that header away, you can see it no longer does that and responds with that size. I was saying like JavaScript disabled and things. So that content header is definitely key. So now we have authentication to this application. So if we go here and just type admin, let's make sure we are not intercepting. Admin. We can log in. So now we can do that. There's our header that we did there. Please subscribe. That's funny. But now we can go look at that authenticated exploit. So let's do searchboit pi-hole and see if we can figure this out. Let's see, searchboit-m v48433. Looks like if we do less than 4 arguments, it gives us explanation. So Python 3 48433. See, script takes 5 parameters: session cookie, URL, URIP, reverse port. So let's give it the session cookie. Intercept on. We'll grab this. URL of target, HTTP, localhost. Oh no, this is going to be pi.hole, which does go to localhost. My IP address, 10.10.14.2, port 9001. So we try running this, and we're not getting any output. It's weird. Ping pi.hole. You probably should read the script, but I was being lazy and hoping we could skip that. We could also Google for like blog post. So let's turn that off. It was what, 432. Let's do pi-hole 432 exploit. See if we have any good blog post. Let's see. Here's one going to WordPress, so someone writing about it. So instead of stepping through the Python code, which just did not look super clean to me, we can look at their technical analysis. So it looks like the exploit is doing a command injection inside of DHCP. So we put some type of legitimate MAC, and then and then a nasty payload. So I'm sure they're going to say exactly what this does. Or here's the thing. So we got to bypass the valid MAC, which makes sure the very first characters are a MAC address. And then it's going add MAC. So if valid. It's got HTML special characters, so chances are this is why they are doing the hex encoding. If you looked, we got hex to bin, a bunch of hex here. And later, it does sudo pi-hole, add static DHCP, and then the MAC. So we're doing the injection right here. So we're able to put some type of payload here, and this is just a bash command running as pi-hole. So that's the exploit. I wonder if we can grab a payload. Looks like, yep, we can. So here's the payload. What we want to do probably is change this hex. So I'm going to copy this, and we're going to Google CyberChef. And let's go and paste our hex and say from hex. And we got it decoded. So now we want to change the IP, so 10.10.14.2, probably port 9001. And we can take that out and say we want to convert this to hex. And the delimiter, we don't want any. So now we got a new magical hex byte thing. So let's copy a payload. That is an ugly payload. So it's using and for the command injection. And then this is getting around to put a path. And then we're executing something. But I got to copy this because looking at this quote looks special. These are angled. So that's not going to work in our payload. I'm just going to go to burp to get a we can probably just do it in CyberChef, actually. Where's CyberChef? There it is. Maybe not. Trying to think of the best place to do this. Do we have Cherry Tree? It is. It's been a while since I used Cherry Tree. So we'll open this up. New instance, Control N, Control Shift. What's new node? Control N. Thought I did that. So we want a hex bin. So this is our payload. And we want this. We're going to quickly go through this and remove anything that looks like it's not ASCII, which is the quotes. So move that. That's a double quote. Double quote. Like that. I think that's them all. Copy a new payload. All we did was change the IP address. I don't see any more of that Unicode magic. So we'll just copy this. Go to pi-hole. See settings, DHCP, and the MAC address. So I'm going to paste. So it's going MAC address, IP address, host name. I'm just going to do 172.31.1.1. Host name, IPsec, probably doesn't matter if I can type it correctly. And we are listing on 9001. So I'm going to click this green plus to add this exclusion. It's not coming back to us, and we have a shell. So if we do a who am I, we are www data. So we can do lsla, pwd. We can go to /home, see what's in here, nothing. And if we went into /root, or a user can actually read the root. These like IoT devices are just horribly insecure. I'd always recommend checking things like that. So there is a bash RC, bash history, but it's pointed to dev null. We got this ph install and pi-hole config. I'm going to go to the config first because that install is pretty big, and also the config is created relatively recently. So let's cat pi-hole config, and we have a password. We have bubblegum forever Ryan 3. So if we copy this and we go back to a box, we can add yet another password to this. And all these bubblegum passwords were kind of Brian's password. So, and they all went to the box. The first bubblegum is the decryption key. The second bubblegum is Brian's password. This third bubblegum, let's see what that is. So let's go 3. I'm on 3. 2. My SSH in anywhere? I should be. There he is. So we can cat etc passwd. Brian's the only user. So we can just try su and put the password we just got, which was the bubblegum forever, I think that is. And we are root. So that is the box. Hope you guys enjoyed. Take care, and I will see you all next week.